All right. Well, thank you everyone for tuning in. So we're working on a series, our mindset series, and today happens to be our second episode in that series. Last time we met, we looked at internal money scripts. Today we're going to be talking about mantras, the power of repetition and intention. And before I break down a startling statistic,
Uh-huh.
what are your thoughts on this topic, Sam?
Well, I think we often talk about how, so much of getting personal finance right is mastering both the inside game and the outside game. It's actually interesting because, not that everybody's into it, but this time of year, a lot of people, myself included, get caught up in the March Madness hype.
Yes.
And you start thinking about matchups, right? And how do teams play against other teams? And it's interesting because on paper, you can have a bunch of different statistics that can tell you based off of probabilities that, this team has an edge here, this team has an edge there. But when you're on the court and you're in the middle of the battle,
Yeah.
there's a lot of things that can come up. And I feel like so often, not only is it about, making sure that there's a good game plan before the struggle happens, but it's about the mindset and being able to maintain whatever the game plan is, even as you have to make course corrections, as the other team isn't just letting you do whatever you want to do,
Yeah.
right? And I think it's so similar when you think about personal finance, or I guess anything that you're working on trying to improve, where there's the tactical aspect of having a game plan, which would be maybe analogous to having a financial plan on paper, but then at the same time being able to monitor all the psychological aspects. And last time we talked about money scripts, today we're going to talk about mantras, but I feel like that becomes an equal component to execution and an equal determining variable on whether or not people actually get the results they're looking for.
Yeah, I do too. And I think for those of you who might be seeing this episode and thinking this is a little woo-woo, it's not. This is
No,
really
yeah.
super important to look at thoughts becoming statements, becoming actions, becoming behaviors. That's the way I like to think about it. But I'd like to read you this research, take it for a grain of salt. But research that I found on the World Wide Web, I think
Which
you're
means it's obviously
it's going
right.
to be true. Okay. Research shows that 66% of investors, how they come up with that, admit that they've made impulsive or emotional investing decisions that they later regretted, highlighting how often emotions override rational planning with money. Mantras help us interrupt emotional reactions and create steadiness during uncertainty, whether in the market, life transitions, or big decisions. So I'd like to conclude this statistic by also saying they're not just motivational, they're practical tools for clarity and calm in financial planning. What do you think of that?
Well, clarity is a huge aspect. We talk about that all the time. Um, I think that without clarity, there is a greater propensity for people to either get stuck or to default to just knee-jerk reactions.
Hmm.
And both can be dangerous, depending on what you're talking about and ultimately what trickles down from what you end up doing. Uh, it's so interesting because there's so many parallels, I think, in so many other aspects. And I was, I forget exactly how it was. I was watching this video or looking at something the other day,
Hmm.
and it was talking about Tony Robbins. And, most of you know
I love
who
me
Tony
some Tony
Robbins is.
Robbins.
And this isn't about him. It's just an interesting factoid in the story. And the whole idea was about how you can, if I summarize what they were trying to say, but it was talking about how people that are in business or in profession or doing anything can stay the course and
Hmm.
and really get clarity of vision of what they're trying to do. And so the story goes, and I have no idea if any of this is true,
Perfect.
that many, many, many years ago, Tony Robbins was really struggling, significantly in debt, getting ready to close his business,
Hmm.
etc. But he had a business coach or a mentor or somebody who was able to give him some information that shifted the way that he kind of thought about things. And the idea was that, he started down this path of trying to make a detailed list, his to-do list of all the things that he needed to do to try to fix the present situation that he was in. And what his mentor or coach at the time told him reportedly was not to do that, to try to really focus by asking three questions. And I think the idea is that questions with space help you refine intentionality. And so instead of him having all these to-dos of like, what do
Hmm.
I need to get done? it shifted his focus to thinking about outcome. What is it that he's really trying to achieve? Like, what does the outcome look like? And then working backwards from the outcome to, why does he need to achieve that? What are the pieces that are in the way? And I don't remember
Hmm.
exactly what the other questions were, but
Okay.
I think we can get this same idea, right? If I just look at my present situation and I don't have intentionality and I don't have a framework and I don't have a way to think about what it is. All I know is I got this bill over here. I got this move I'm trying to make. I got this contribution I'm trying to do. I know that I want to retire, but I can't retire yet. And I got all these thoughts just jumbled around. I think that it gives this environment where now as data is flying in, right? What's happening with the market? What's the new bill that got passed? All these other things. I feel like I'm moving further from my goal. I have less clarity. And so in response, I need to do something. But
Create a
the
list.
create a list,
Right.
right? But in reality, what you always want to do is start with outcome. What is it that I'm really trying to work
Mm.
towards? What is the cleanest path to be able to get there? What are the
Hmm.
obstacles that are actually in the way and to simplify? And I think that anything that helps to reinforce, whether it's a mantra or focusing on money scripts, that allows us to slow down a beat, not be irrational, try to, whatever degree we can, halt whatever cognitive biases are creeping in the moment, and just get back to clarity and basics and simplicity. I think that that's the environment where we then make decisions that are more aligned with the outcome we're trying to get.